From Opus Sanctorum Angelorum.
I'm Father Ludwig Oppel from the Canons Regular of the Holy Cross. So I'm in Carrollton, Ohio, St. Gabriel Monastery. And yeah, I want to make a little video about what happens in an abortion. I mean, more specifically, is it a baby or is it not? I think this is the topic which we have to talk about, but normally it's not talked about. Before we go into that, I would like to say two things. First, that election on November 7th about issue 1 is very important. So please go there, please vote, and please vote no. I say that right away because you may click off on the video, you may not be interested in what I say, but I would like to say that right at the beginning. Normally we see that elections really don't matter. Stuff continues as it does, this politician or that politician. In this election, it's not like that. It will make a big difference if this issue 1 would be approved. God may spare us from that. But it would make a big difference because tens of thousands of babies more would be killed. And this is a big issue. So please vote, the first thing. The second thing what I want to say is there's an attitude in our society which kind of says, well, you cannot really say anything against these things because you would judge people. And I disagree with that. Of course, we cannot judge people. I cannot say that everybody who did an abortion, although it is a horrible thing, goes to hell. I cannot say that. I am not the judge of the world. And therefore, it is true, we cannot judge anybody. We don't know. We don't know the heart. And I have to say that many women who do abortion, who choose that, they are under duress, they're under oppressed, they're alone. And so, of course, we cannot judge these women. But what we can do is we can say this is wrong. And here is a very important thing which got forgotten. Truth exists. So that is important. Truth exists. So St. Paul said the truth will set you free. There is truth. And if we talk about abortion, then we want to discern. So is it true to do that, or is it not true? Which means, does this action of abortion, is it actually something we should do or not? Is it an option? Is it a choice we have? Because I think everybody would agree that if this is a human being that has a right to life, the first right we have is right to life, then we would not assume that someone has just can kill this human person, but yet this is what's happening in abortion. So again, we don't judge the person. I don't say, well, these ladies who do that, they go to hell. I don't say that, but I do say it is wrong. It has to stop because it kills innocent human persons. And so right now, with that, we are at the topic of this little conference. And I want to point out something which I find interesting is that the Supreme Court, when it cancelled Roe v. Wade with Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, 2022, it kind of was more on a technicality. So it says, well, is actually the US Constitution is saying that abortion is a right under the US Constitution or no? That's practically the question. Roe v. Wade said it is, Dobbs said it is not. And that's the only thing. And it does not address the issue of is it good or not good? And this is the issue. So is abortion, is it good or is it not good? Or is it a choice? Or is it just murder? I want to say that. Is it murder or is it a choice we have? And it's interesting, if we read this, the argument of Dobbs, then we see that this was specifically excluded, that the judges didn't want to go there and kind of said, well, this is philosophy. No, we don't want to talk about philosophy here. And I don't think it is philosophy. There may be a part philosophy. I think a lot of things are just common sense. And about these things we want to talk here. So first of all, it's pretty obvious. So a cat gets a little cat and it's a cat. And a cow gets a little calf and it's a cow. No big deal. A plant has seeds, and the seeds, oak tree, for example, have acorns, and acorns they have another oak tree. So of course, I mean, if a woman has a child, it is a child. And here's a question. So is it only a child, a human being, a human person, if it is born or not? So does the location of that human being change essentially the nature of the human being, so what it is? Or that embryo, let's say embryo, they use it a lot. I say baby. Is the baby inside the womb essentially different than outside? I don't think so. Our essence, our substance, or however you want to call it, is not determined by where we are, but who we are. So kind of what this would approve also, this issue 1 would be abortion up to the 9th month. So it is obviously a child. And it's interesting, even I printed out yesterday the ballot, and it says that issue would allow a woman to have abortion of the child up to the 9th month. So it's a child, because the location is not important. So what is important? So what is someone? So now you have other points. Sometimes they say, okay, is the baby viability? Can it live by itself? And again, it's the same. So is it constitutional for the human person to be able to live by itself? And so I don't think so, because just take the newborn baby and then just well, can it live by itself? Just leave it alone. Just let it sit there or lay there and just abandon it. It will die. It's not viable. It cannot live by itself. So this is a similar situation. A person who just had some whatever heart attack and kind of stopped being conscious. Is it not anymore a human person? The person is not viable anymore. They stopped to be a human person. That means, should we stop helping everybody who had a heart attack because at that moment he is not viable anymore? But we could help him to be viable again, like with a baby. So you feed it, give it breastfeeding or formula, so it will grow up and will be viable. But it's not an issue in. Also, I mean, I'm happy about all these heartbeat bills, because actually they reduce the number of babies being killed. But still, is it beating heart? Is that what makes a human being human being? I don't think so. Because you have a cardiac arrest, heart stops beating, do you stop being a human person? No. And so that's what's the issue then? Is this feeling pain, is that? It's not. No? Some people don't feel pain. I think there's a sickness, once I heard, you don't feel any pain. So are you a human person? Of course you are. Now these are the things. So what is a human person? So when does it start? And then we have to see one interesting thing. So the question is that thing, let's put it like that, which grows in the maternal womb, is it a part of the mother or is it not? And we have to say biologically it's clearly not. And here again, this is not philosophy, that's biology. Biology is pretty advanced right now. So, and biology tells us that all cells of my body, they have my genome. This is amazing. So every cell in my body, there is my genome. That's me. The cells in or of the baby in the mother's womb have a different genome. And therefore, it's not the mother's body. I think this is important to see that distinction. It's not the mother's body, it's a different body. But yet it grows, but there's life. There's life in that something, which is not the mother's body, which is not consequently the mother's life. So it's a living being which is not the mother. And so that is pretty obvious. And again, if it's life, the only really what makes sense would be it's human life. It's a human being. What is interesting is biologically, it's pretty. I mean, I'm not a biologist, but this is what biologists tell us. So the only time when something really new happens, if it is when the sperm cell fertilizes the ovum, and that is when it happens. So that is when you have the new genome. Then when life starts. So you have one cell which is fertilized, and then it divides. You have 2 cells, you have 4 cells, and it just continues. But what is very, very important is to see that the whole process after the fertilization of the ovum is just a consequence of that. There is never any stage where something really new happens. It's just development. And it's like a tree. When you put a acorn into the ground and it develops an oak. And so you cannot say, well, from this point on it's an oak. It's a little oak. It's an oak. And then it grows and it gets 100 years, it gets pretty large. But there's no essential difference. No? And this is the same with us humans. As soon as the ovum is fertilized by the sperm cell, it is a human being, it has life, it has human life, and it is really everything else, everything which comes after that is just a development of the potentialities which are in it. No? And of course, then we get a little bit into philosophy and we can say, well, that's obvious. So we are every animated human being, animated being has a principle of life. We can call it also soul. Plants, for example, they have their plant soul, if you wish. Then animals have their animal soul. And humans, we have our human soul. And so when the ovum is fertilized by the sperm cell, that's when human life starts. And just to mention that still, of course, I mean, there is a big difference between human life and animal and plant life. There's a big difference. So our religion tells us that we have a spiritual soul which is indestructible. So with every abortion, a child is killed. It has an immortal soul. Again, it's a horrible thing what the abortion industry is doing, is putting on our society. It's horrible. So again, please go vote no to issue 1 on November 7th in Ohio. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.